engine.
So now let's say if we don't want to fit a parametric distribution, we don't know what is the family of distributions that is more likely to explain this data. We also have a choice of something called non-parametric density estimation. The easiest method for this is something called kernel density estimation or Parsons window method. So basically the distribution of the data is going to be like this. If we have an unknown point px, it will be represented by a weighted sum of some kernel of x minus xi, and it will be divided by n. N is the number of samples, so I is equal to 1 to n. What does this mean? So let's say this is a Gaussian kernel. Each kernel by itself integrates to 1. So when we add n such kernels, we have to divide by n. So basically what we are saying is that we have bunch of xi given to us. These are your training samples. On each of these xi, we will fit a Gaussian distribution. And the Gaussian distribution will be exactly the same for all of these. So you can see somewhere there are less overlap, somewhere there is larger overlap. Whenever you have larger overlap, when we add these up, we will have something that follows this, and then we will have something like this where the peak is slightly larger. So whenever we have more density of points, we will have larger peaks. Okay, because their Gaussians will overlap with each other and they will go up in the estimate. This need not be just Gaussian, it can be a triangular kernel also. So triangular kernel would look like this, and we would add multiple of these kernels depending on whether the underlying points are closer or further apart from each other. So there are different choices, but Gaussian window is one of the most likely, most widely used ones. So now the overall distribution is like a mixture of Gaussians, where the mixture has n components, right? But they all have the same sigma and only varying mu. The mu is sitting on top of xi. Okay, the sigma is the same, and sigma is something like a hyperparameter. So I can say that there's a hyperparameter here, sigma, or h. I will call it h, the width of the window h, and that is what we need to estimate. Because if we have too narrow of a window, then we will have distributions that just look like this, which doesn't look very smooth. If we have too large of a window, then we will just get this. What we want to get is something that is representative of multiple modes and high densities and low densities. So what we want is something that looks like this when there are a bunch of points here and bunch of points here. Okay, so the sigma of, or the width of the kernel, the hyperparameter, that is quite important to estimate, and there are some heuristics to estimate that window. Let's look at what those heuristics are. So basically, the finding the optimal window size means that we want to minimize the mean square error between the cumulative distributions of the empirical data distribution, and the Parsons window, or the estimated distribution that we have. So let's say we have P empirical and we have P empirical and we have P estimated. So P non-parametric. Okay, if we integrate both of these, so let's call it, we'll integrate it to capital X. Let's say we take their difference and then we take their squared, we take that expected value. Okay, that is basically, so this is from minus infinity. That is what we want to minimize. Okay. So for Gaussian distribution, sorry, not for Gaussian distribution, for Gaussian kernels, it turns out that a heuristic is that we take the sample covariance, okay, and the number of points, and we raise the number of points to the fifth root, and we multiply it with the sample covariance. Better estimate is that we can also use the minimum of the sample covariance and interquartile range. So this is the difference between difference between 75th and 25th percentile of data. This is all for one-dimensional functions. So we take that interquartile range and we divide it by this 1.34, and we take the minimum of the two, and then we take this. So the reason this one is used sometimes than the other one is because it takes into account if the data is skewed, the distribution is skewed, it's not symmetric around the mean. Then we can take this interquartile range, and it gives better estimate than the other one, just based on the sigma. And basically these are derived by trying to optimize what I've shown above. Now here the optimal window size and the optimal kernel density, these are all based on the assumption that we are looking at a single dimensional Gaussian, but the technique is useful enough even for multiple dimensions. So if we have dimension x1 and dimension x2, we could have a bunch of points, okay, and on each of these points we could actually put a Gaussian kernel, divide each of the kernels by n, capital N, and then add it up. Basically we will get a probability density estimation of the given sample point. Now here we have a choice of actually using a isotropic kernel or an anisotropic kernel, and there are other techniques to estimate whether to use isotropic or anisotropic kernel based on the skew in the overall data itself. So if the overall data is skewed, it is correlated and it is along some line, then the kernel itself can be tilted along that line, and so forth.